Welcome, everyone. I'm Nina Collins. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Revel. We have a lot of new people in the audience today, so I want to give a very brief intro to what Revel is. Revel is a social platform for women over 40. We offer groups, like on Facebook, lots of groups by subject matter where women can talk to each other, and then lots and lots of events. We have over 600 events a month. Many of them are free, some are paid. We offer the ability for our power hosts, people who regularly host or people who have particular expertise, to charge for their events so women can make money on our platform. But we are primarily really a community for women in the second half of life. It's very much our mission. And speaking of mission, we're here today with Britt Baker, who runs Dow Janes. Britt's mission is to help women all over the world create financial confidence. And we had an event with her maybe 9 months ago that was hugely popular. So I know that you're in for a really great presentation. Britt is a Harvard Business School graduate, with, as she says, a penchant for personal finance and a knack for keeping things fun. Britt started investing at the age of 8 and has since been making saving money and investing easy for everyone to understand. And that's really her mission. So I'm going to really just let her take it away. This is a presentation about how to create a money ritual. We're putting in the chat information on Revel, information on Dow Janes. We welcome any questions throughout the conversation, throughout the presentation. Feel free to put questions in the chat. Sydney, who's off screen, and I and Britt will all be monitoring it, and we'll do our best to get to all your questions. So thank you, Britt. I'm going to turn my video off so that you're front and center.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intro. And hello, everyone. You are the lucky ones who got a spot in today's webinar. I know it was completely sold out, so happy that you're here. And I'd love to know kind of who I'm talking to. So if you're willing, and I've seen that you're from all over the country, and I'd love to know if you're a Revel member, are you $1 million a year member, and what are your kind of age ranges, or why are you here? So just kind of give me that information if you'd like in the chat. I'll kind of keep my eye on that and introduce myself. And I'm going to share some slides. Just a second. Hello, hello. Okay, amazing. So a lot of $1 million a year members, Revel members. Cool. Hello, hello. So sweet to see you all here. Cool. Well, this conversation is about financial self-care. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Britt Baker, co-founder of Dow Janes. And as Nina said, our company is focused on the financial education and empowerment of people who identify as women. And thank you so much for just introducing yourselves in the chat. It's always helpful to know who I'm talking to and where you are in life. So it's really great. Thank you. And just to give you a bit of background on Dow Janes, if you haven't heard of us yet, we are here to get more money in the hands of more women. We know that good things happen when women have money. And there's nothing that excites us more than getting people out of debt, learning to invest, and really just feeling confident about their financial situations. So if you like what you learned today, or you want to just stay in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We put great free content out pretty regularly. So who am I, and why am I teaching this content today? So as you heard from Nina's introduction, I'm a huge nerd when it comes to personal finance. I've been investing since I was 8. My dad taught me about compound interest, and I invested my allowance. And then my grandfather taught me to invest in stocks when I was in college. So I've just been doing this for a long time. I've always obsessively saved and invested my money. But I was lucky. I had role models. I had parents who wanted to teach me these things. And I know that not everyone gets that. And so when I graduated from Harvard Business School, I started this living room investment club for my girlfriends to teach them about investing. And what I realized in starting that was that most people weren't ready to invest. It was this aspirational thing. Everyone wanted to invest, but they actually needed to save first. And so I brought in my best friend and business partner, Lorianne, to teach them the skills needed to budget and save money. And she really brought in this holistic way of thinking about spending in line with your values and making budgeting something that people really enjoyed doing. We have a saying in MDY, for those of you who are in the chat, you can speak to this. The saying is, I love my budget. People who work with us and work on their budget, they just develop this love affair with taking care of their money that I personally didn't even know was possible. So that's been really incredible to see this change of how people relate to taking care of their money. So we built this business together, Dow Janes, to really tackle, the financial industry was created by men for men, and we knew there had to be a better way. And so we built Dow Janes to work exclusively with women and really just bring a much friendlier, more approachable way to learn the financial industry. And so we address your relationship with money. We address the just how to bring in money routines and rituals to make it feel less like a chore and more like a self-care routine. And we'll talk about that a lot today. And all while kind of creating your life in alignment. So spending money in alignment with your values. And, ultimately it's part of our big goal of basically getting more hands in the hands of people who identify as women, leveling the gender wealth gap, creating more equality. So I want to know, for you, we're talking a lot about money, and for some people money is complicated. There's a lot of emotions involved with money. And I just want to share my perspective on this, which is I view money as a means to an end. Money helps me live the life that I want. It gives me the freedom and choice to, this is pictures of me with my husband in our van, like take time off to be in our van or go on adventures. And that's the quality of life that money provides. And we say at Dow Janes a lot that, life is hard enough. Money shouldn't be one other piece that adds stress to your life. And so I want to know what it means to you. What does money mean to you? If you had all the money you needed, what would you do with your life? What is it giving you access to, or why do you want to have money? Is it to travel or spend time with family, or to make the world a better place? Freedom, stress relief, choices. Yeah, just to have choice. Absolutely. So that goes a long way. Make my home awesome. Better choices, help others, travel and freedom, ease. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So we can kind of shift from thinking of money as this thing that people are just accumulating, or that there's any negative thing about it, and just appreciate it for the impact it can have on your life. Yeah. Carrie would love to pursue a career I actually love. I want that for you too. Yeah. Quality experiences with family, peace of mind. These are great answers. Thanks for being so participatory. These are awesome. Yeah. So more than anything, when it comes to Dow Janes and the work we do, we care about financial empowerment. I want you, just like Carrie said, to live the life that you deserve, to be doing the work that you want to be doing. That's what you deserve to be doing with this one wild and precious life, to quote Mary Oliver. And so while financial empowerment begins with education, it also requires the right money mindset and habits. And that's what we're going to explore today, because there's a lot of tactical stuff that you can get to later about budgeting and saving and setting up auto saving and investing. But if you don't have the right mindset in place beforehand, you're just going to sabotage yourself later. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So my hope is that by the end of this hour, that you will actually look forward to taking care of your finances and be on your way toward having a healthy and positive relationship with money. How does that sound? Okay. I'm going to be sharing a lot. So if you just remember 20% of this presentation, consider that a win. Take notes if you want to, pay attention. I think we will be sharing this recording afterwards, so don't worry too much if you miss something. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you this free weekly money ritual checklist that you can actually use to guide yourself through your ritual. And then if you're open to it, I'll also share an offer about working with us through the $1 Million Year, if that's something you're interested in as well. Okay, so let's start today with a simple fact, which is women do not build wealth at the same rate as men. It's unfortunate, but it is the truth right now. Hopefully not for long, but that is a fact right now. So why is that? There's actually a lot of nuance to this fact, but there's 4 major influences. The first is that we're paid less. We all know this. Women are paid 23% less than men, and it's even worse for Black and Latinx populations. So we're out of the gate from the beginning. We also don't negotiate. 49% of women let their spouse make long-term financial decisions, even if they're the primary breadwinner. And we're just giving away our power when we don't negotiate. We're also charged more for the same things. This made me so upset learning about the pink tax years ago, that like for razors, women are charged more for razors than men are charged for razors. We also have a higher interest rate on loans, even though we're less likely to default. And then finally, we're less likely to be given an education, a financial education. Parents are less likely to talk to their sons than they are their daughters about money. And we don't talk about money together because it's so taboo. And the impacts of this are that women are 5 times more likely than men to live paycheck to paycheck. We invest later and less often, even though we're better investors. We're nearly twice as likely to be in poverty when we retire. And that has left us in survival mode. And that's not how I want women to be. I want women to be living their best lives, feeling confident and proud and secure when it comes to money. And I just want to say that it's not your fault. There have been external forces working against women financially, and we literally weren't taught how to fight back. So if you're feeling, I just want to, pause in this moment, because if you're feeling any shame or anxiety or fear or helplessness when it comes to money, or angry, totally, I hear you. It's one, it's not your fault. And two, we can do something about it. It does not have to stay this way. Just because things were stacked against us doesn't mean they have to be in the future. There is absolutely a path forward. Until now, we haven't been given a seat at the money table. This is systemic, and it's just important to acknowledge this context. But the good news is that today we have more financial potential and mobility than any other time in history. And it's actually an excellent time, relatively, to be a woman in the world. We can open our own accounts. We can build credit in our own names. We legally can't get fired for being pregnant. And that only happened in 1978. It's pretty outrageous how recently some of these things have changed. Susan, always told I had to get married to own a house, or like that was your financial plan, was getting married. Hopefully, as we talk to our daughters now, things are different. We're setting them up to be independent. And so far, our financial education hasn't caught up to our financial opportunities. So even though we have access to bank accounts and investment accounts and can do everything in our own names, doesn't mean that we know how to make the system work for us. There is some work to do. And there's a piece, some of it is about financial education, just learning the tricks and the tools. But some of it is that we actually have to deal with the emotional byproducts of all of this. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about right now as we go into this ritual, is the emotional side of money. So first, I want to tell a story of 2 women, and these are anecdotal, and it's only to illustrate a point. So this is Hannah and Madison, and they are coworkers at Google. They started at the same time. They went through company training together. They both earned $50,000 in their first year salary. They've been working together for 5 years. And here's what happened in their financial lives. Hannah got the standard raise of 5% each year. So now she's making more. She tries not to spend too much, but really she's just guessing. She covers her missed expenses on a credit card. Money to her is stressful and overwhelming. She'd like to buy a house, but doesn't sure how she'll save enough. She tries to keep some extra money in savings, and she still has student debt and is paying money on her credit card. She also doesn't have investments. So we call this person, this stereotype of Hannah the hopeful, because that's her approach to money in general. She doesn't actually have a plan. She's just hopeful it will all work out. Madison, on the other hand, takes a different approach. So she's been negotiating a 10% raise each year, makes almost $75,000. She has habits in place where she tracks her money each week and knows how to spend it to achieve her goals. She loves feeling on top of her finances, feels relaxed about money and enjoys spending it, has plans to buy a house and actually knows that she'll be able to. She has emergency savings of $10,000 and $0 in debt with growing investments. And I want to, of course, these are hypothetical anecdotes, but if you had to identify with one of them as more like you, which do you identify? Are you more of a Hannah or are you more of a Madison? Who have you been more like in your life? And there's no shame in the answer here. This is a totally safe space to be who you are. Hannah all day. I switched from Hannah to Madison in the last 5 years. Go Judith. Yeah. Both Hannah big time, Madison, Hannah, moving towards Madison. Yeah. So, as I said, there's zero judgment. We weren't taught these things, so there's no reason that you would expect to be a Madison. And it's also possible to move from being a Hannah to being a Madison. But I want to talk about why things were so different for these two, because it's not just about their income. They started with making the same money at their job. It's not just about financial education, although that is part of it. It's about their relationships to money. And Hannah and Madison have really different relationships to money. So you might be wondering, what is a money relationship? I've never heard of that before. It's the way you think, feel, and act towards money. You can think of it like another person, and how do you treat that person? How is your relationship with that person? So money itself is neutral. It's just a piece of paper. It's a medium of exchange. It was invented to trade goods and services. But for most people, money doesn't feel that way. Money feels laden with emotions. And I wanted you to check in. And when you think about money, what are some of the emotions that come up? When people start talking about money around you, what happens in your body? What stories do you tell yourself about what money means? Do you have those stories kind of running in the background? Powerlessness, fear, shame, frustration, shame for having debt, frustration, anxiety. Yeah, I can't afford it. I don't deserve it. Lack. Totally. These are all really normal emotions to have when it comes to money. And it's hard to be a Madison from that place, because there's, you're just buried in the hard emotions of it. So there's most of us don't think about money neutrally. You're not alone at all. And we all add meaning to money. We judge it, and we judge the use of it, what amount of it is good or bad to have. We link money and morality, like what is good or right or fair. We sometimes assess our own self-worth as a function of our wealth. We can attach our personal identity to it, to the amount of money we have and how we use it. And these are all the thoughts and stories and interpretations that we tell ourselves. And we want to remind you, that's just about pieces of paper, these supposedly neutral things. But we give it so much meaning, like it actually says something about us. And again, that's totally normal. It's normal to have a complex set of thoughts, beliefs, and feelings about money. We inherit them from our culture, from the people who raised us, and they're augmented by our own personal experiences of money in this lifetime. I just want to add that there's a lot that shapes our relationship to money: culture, religion, environment, media, peers, family, gender, education, race, and your personal experience. These are all different components that have influenced the way that you individually relate to money. And it was most of your relationship money was inherited. It's a learned behavior to learn how to relate to money. And unless you've done a lot of work on your relationship to money already, what you have is probably not yours. It's probably someone else's. I relate to money a lot, mostly the way my mom relates to money. And you may notice that in your own patterns. It's just from the people we've seen growing up. Lorianne has this funny story. She's like, if something's on sale, I buy 2 of them, because that's what my mom does. It's like we inherit these ways of relating to money and viewing it that aren't necessarily ours. So again, this doesn't mean anything about you, but it's important to look at, because your financial situation is a result of your relationship to money. Yes, there are of course broader systemic matters influencing this as well, but the biggest influence is your relationship to money, how you think, feel, and act about it. And what we've found from doing this work with over 8,000 women at this point is that if we try to change your financial results without addressing your relationship, it won't work. It'll just come back in surprising ways and keep you from creating a new future with money. Because we can't see money financially until we sort through our emotional response to it. Another way of putting this is money facts versus money feelings. A money fact is that you have $600 to spend this month. A money feeling is I'm broke and I'm never going to make it. Money fact is I have $50,000 in student loan debt. A feeling is I'm drowning in student loan debt. I'm never going to get out. Like anything that makes it about you is a feeling versus just paying attention to the facts. And when you look at, and this is really common, don't worry. But when you look at it as a fact, I have $30,000 of debt. It means nothing about me and I have a plan to get out. You separate it from any of the shame and the guilt. And so it allows you to actually take action on it, because it's pretty hard to take action when you're coming from a shame place. Okay, so now we're going to get into start to get into the ritual part of it, because this is one actionable way that you can start to change your relationship to money. There are other ways, and if we have time, I can talk about those too. But first, I want to ask you a question. So how do you, and sorry, my slides are a little slow. There we go. How do you currently view taking care of your finance right now? Do you see it as something you can't be bothered to do? It's boring, annoying, or tedious. Is it anxiety producing? Feels overwhelming, intimidating, confusing? Is it like a chore? It's just this responsibility or obligation that you have to do. Or do you find it fun, joyful, relaxing, and positive? Type in the chat how you relate to it. And I like this new one. Yeah, Katie, thanks for adding terrifying. Totally. Yeah. Terrifying, overwhelming, incompetent. Yeah. Sorry, Victoria. Chore, between chore and fun, a game. Love that approach, Robin. Duty. Until I got laid off, it was fun. Oh, yeah, I hear you. It's like fun when there's money to work with and not otherwise. Fun when I'm in the mood for planning. Cool. It's my happy place. I love some of these. Some of these are really, yeah, you're going to have to add in what you do to make it feel like your happy place. Can't be bothered, like a chore. Avoidance. Yeah, super common. Avoidance. A chore, but I'm on autopilot now. I'm facing it, but I'd rather avoid it. Denial. Totally. Yeah, tried a few different methods and nothing sticks. Yeah. Okay. There are so many ways to view taking care of your money, and most of them are pretty negative. But for today, I want to try on a new context. And that context is that managing money is self-care. And what if you saw it this way? What if taking care of your finances was an essential part of your self-care routine? Then would you start to see it differently? We think about self-care as essentials and luxuries. And the essentials are, eating, sleeping, taking care of your money, and bathing. And then luxuries are massages, yoga, bubble bath, essential oils. But this is where we put taking care of money. We put it above bathing. Your life won't fall apart if you skip a shower, but if you ignore your money for too long, it could, or at least it could feel really hard. So try this on as a new frame of mind, that taking care of your money is an essential self-care activity. And remember, new results require a new relationship. So this is, back to Hannah and Madison, they had different relationships with money, which is what led to their different outcomes. So what does this new, self-care relationship with money look like? How do you do this? It is possible to create your own relationship to money, one that is sacred, authentic, and empowering, one that treats managing money like self-care. And so one way to do this is to create a pleasurable weekly money ritual that makes you want to deal with your finances. And this is something we have our MDY members do at the very beginning of their program. So they can talk in the chat about how they make theirs pleasurable. But what this is really about is rewiring your negative associations with dealing with money. So instead of stressing out about money when the bill arrives in the mail, or when you have to pay taxes, or when something goes wrong and you have an emergency, instead, it's a regular self-care routine that you actually look forward to doing. And when you do it, you feel confident, you feel proud of yourself, you feel like you finally have clarity over where your money is and where it's going. If there's one thing you do and you do this, it will have a dramatic impact on your financial life. Because when you start paying attention to things, I mean, depends how woo you want to be, but what we believe is that what you pay attention to expands. And so we've noticed that, our program isn't even about increasing people's income, but when they start doing this and they're paying attention to their money and they know what's coming in and what's going out, all of a sudden more money is coming to them. They're getting a raise. Their bills arrive in the mail, or not bills, checks arrive in the mail. Like money just comes to them. So there's more to it than just the ritual and the routine. It's the energetics of paying attention to your finances. So what is it? Let's talk about what does a weekly money ritual look like? So it is a dedicated hour each week of financial self-care. And it's time you set aside to focus on your finances, to tackle those things on your financial to-do list. And don't worry, I'm going to give you a checklist where you can actually have instructions for how you might spend your ritual. And the goal is to make it something you enjoy doing, and then to reward yourself afterwards with whatever way you want to reward yourself. We'll talk about some ideas. And as I say this, how many of you are feeling resistance to spending an hour a week on your finances? You might think like, how am I going to fit that in? I'm already so busy. Does this happen where does this happen with my kid schedule? Okay, no, all right, I'm seeing some positive. I can do this. Yeah, time's not something I have a lot of. Totally. Making the time. Yeah. Okay, so a mix. There's some excitement. There's some who are like wondering how they're going to fit it in. So one way, if any of you are thinking, an hour is too long, or how am I going to find an hour? Think about it like this. Think about it like this equation. You spend 30 to 40 hours a week, maybe less, maybe more, working, earning money. And most people spend 0 hours a week taking care of that money, either like putting it into the right account or investing it or making sure that the bills are automated. So just spending 1 hour out of the 30 or 40 that you spend making it, it's going to have a pretty big impact on your long-term financial future. And it's basically like, it's only fair to yourself, given how much your time you're spending earning it, to really tend to it with that hour. And I heard some of you say like, how could you fill an hour? Oh my gosh, when I do my weekly money ritual, I do it with a friend. So that's how it feels pleasurable to me, is my friend comes over, we sit at my kitchen table, we both do it together. And I regularly want to spend more than an hour. Like once I get going, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm in. So you'll be surprised once you start doing it, how much stuff there is to do. And then you'll think, how was I getting by without my weekly money ritual? That will be something you say in the future. Okay, so what do you do during it? Because how do you fill an hour? So here are some examples. You would log into your accounts and review recent transactions. So make sure that you weren't billed for anything that you didn't buy, or that you didn't get double billed, or you might notice some subscriptions that come onto your bill that you aren't even using or didn't even know you had, and you could cancel those. You can track your spending. So you can look back at the last week and look at what you spent it on, kind of do the beginnings of creating a monthly budget, but you're basically getting information during this time about your financial life. You could call and negotiate lower interest rates on your credit cards or fees if you get charged like a bank fee, a credit card fee for having a certain account. You could call and ask them to remove that. If you get your cable bill and it's gone up, you could call and say that you'd like them to lower your cable bill. You could set up auto savings or transfers. So, you get paid a certain amount each month. Do you have a savings goal? Can you open up a sub account in your savings account and start auto saving money into that account? You could set financial goals. What is it that you want to achieve by the end of the year? Do you want to have a vacation fund with $5,000 in it? What are those goals that would make your life better? A lot of you said travel. Are you budgeting for travel? How can you use this money ritual to put in place things that will make your life better? And whatever you end up doing, the important piece is that you actually find the pleasure in this. So there will inherently be pleasure that comes from the clarity and the confidence that you get from just paying attention and knowing that you can do this on your own. And then sometimes it'll feel totally overwhelming. If you're not in a great financial place and you realize like you're looking at all of your credit card debt. And then your step might be, okay, I'm going to find a zero balance transfer card so I can move this debt off of my 30% interest rate credit card onto a 0% card. There's a lot of different activities that even if you're in a tough financial spot, doing this ritual will get you into a better place. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to get you into a worse place by paying attention. Okay. I just want to make sure there's, okay, I will get to questions in a moment. Okay. And then how else can you make it pleasurable? So for me, doing it with a friend is enough. For other people, playing music or lighting a candle, lighting incense, making a hot tea or your favorite beverage, sitting in a place. We have some people who they do this in bed because they're like, it's way more fun for me to do in bed than at my office or at my desk. Have a glass of wine while you do it. Get out the chocolate, pull a tarot card before you start it. Whatever, again, this is rewiring your experience with money. So don't skip this step. Actually, bring in the enjoyment and treat it. We have people who, once they start doing this, one woman said, I can't imagine starting my Saturday without my money ritual. It's just her time. It's like carved out time for you to take care of future you. And this is all part of resetting your money relationship. So my challenge for you is, as I said, if you were to do one thing to change your financial future, it would be to start doing a weekly money ritual. So the challenge is schedule it, find an hour in the next week when you can do it, put it in your calendar, set a reminder, make it happen, write down how you're going to make it pleasurable, identify, at least one thing, one way that you can make it enjoyable for yourself, and then follow the checklist that I'm about to give you. And then if you need some extra incentive, reward yourself afterwards. So is it, I'm totally addicted to Virgin River. Don't tell anyone. Watching an episode of Virgin River after doing my weekly money ritual would be such a reward. So find a way to reward yourself. Is it a bubble bath? Is it, a glass of wine? What are the ways that you want to feel? Yeah, just like, again, reward yourself. That's all. I think you know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to give you a link in the chat, and which makes it easier than trying to type it in for you. There we go. Sorry, it's not a hyperlink. I think you'll just have to copy paste that. So I want you to go to this link and enter your email address to get the checklist. It'll get sent to you right away, and then you'll get the free checklist in your inbox. And it'll give you some tips on both how to set up your ritual space, kind of ideas for how to make it enjoyable, and then a financial to-do list with some suggestions for how you might spend your ritual. You might have others that you want to add on, but it's a good place to start. It at least gets you going as you sit down for your first one. And as I said, if you do nothing else, do this, because spending time on this will make a difference. Okay, so let me go into the chat to answer a few questions before I share more about the $1 Million Year for those of you who are interested. Susie said, what would you recommend for a pleasurable money ritual with your partner? It's been very difficult for me to get him on board. Yeah, so we see this a lot with people. They're like, I'm motivated, but my partner isn't. And what we've seen is that if you just do it yourself first, like you try doing the ritual on your own, ask your partner for whatever you need to make it effective for you. The positive example that you're set in your excitement for doing it will usually bring your partner on board. When I do my weekly money ritual at the kitchen table, my husband's always interested in what I'm working on. So eventually they will come in. And otherwise you can just ask. You can say, this is something that's really important to me. I want to try it out and I'd love to do it together. Are you open to spending this hour with me? And then it helps if you are asking someone else to join you, if you have some structure of like, here's what I would like to do during this hour. I'd like to look back at our expenses for the last month and add them up and see if we're happy with that or if we want to change our spending. That's one idea, for example. All right. Yeah. Can you talk about the $1 Million Year more? Yes, I would love to. Thanks for that invitation. So for those of you who, don't want to do this alone or want to feel supported on your journey, you don't have to do this on your own. So the weekly money ritual, as I mentioned, is one of the cornerstones of our flagship program, the $1 Million Year. It's the very first step. And if you liked what you learned today and want to improve your relationship to money, take control of your financial life, feel empowered when it comes to your money, and feel confident that you have systems in place to take care of you, if you're ready to take your seat at the financial table, then love to invite you to join the $1 Million Year. It is, what is it? It's, oh my gosh, it's everything. It is a year-long transformational program. So we give you step-by-step curriculum. So it's videos, workbooks, templates that you fill out as you go. There's coaching with office hours support each week. There's 3 different office hours coaching sessions. There's monthly mindset workshops where you'll learn about special topics. And there's a whole community of people, most in their basically like 30 to 60, all age ranges, who are on this journey with you. And so it's a really action-based program to help you change your financial future. So we have people who have paid off, $50,000 of debt in their first couple months. We have people who are getting invested for the first time, building up a emergency savings so they aren't worried when something happens. Really just fortifying, creating the foundation in your financial life. To get into, sorry, Christy, I know we have our site has been hacked and we're switching to Squarespace right now. So if you just type Dow Jones again, usually it'll work the second time, but it should be fixed by the end of this week. So included in it, and I'll be brief with this description, but we have a 12-step foundational curriculum, including the weekly money ritual, writing your new money persona, setting up a budget, calculating what you'd need for retirement, making sure you're on track, learning to invest. There's accountability and coaching support. So basically these group office hours, Zoom calls, coaches that are supporting you on your journey, and then regular workshops on added things like negotiations, real estate investing, paying off student loans, managing finances in partnership, which has come up today. And then these are some of the results that people have had in the program. So paying off $30,000 of debt in 5 months, growing her net worth by $50,000, increasing her savings by $80,000. So really phenomenal results. And these are just 3 of the hundreds of members who have just really transformed their lives.
It's really pretty amazing. And
it's
phenomenal. Really I applaud you. I feel like what you're doing is really important. And we offer events like this at Revel because we know that Britt, like what she's doing, is valuable, and think it's really important that women have financial security and control over their finances and aren't living in denial, and all the things that we know are so important and often don't prioritize. So I really think you're great.
Thanks. Yeah. So this is not what we charge. The value of the program is well over $20,000, as you've seen from the results that people get. And normally we sell it for $4,000. If you signed up on our website, that would be the price you would pay. But because you're here and you're part of Revel or joined us today, we're offering 50% off. So instead of $4,000 or $400 a month, you can get it for $1,999 if you pay in full. And we also offer payment plan options. I'll put the link in the chat.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I just have a funny question for you about accountability and how much do people drop out? Like I've said to you before, I would love my daughters to do this, but I wouldn't want to pay for it unless I knew that they were really going to commit. What's your attrition rate? Like, do people, I mean, they're paying a reasonable, it's not nothing to do it. So hopefully people stick it out.
Yeah, it's, and let me just put the link in the chat so people can look at it if they're interested.
Yeah, and we're seeing nice comments in the chat from people who are doing it and how worth it is. That's great. Thank you guys for commenting, and lots of people saying I had a financial coach who charged so much more and this was so much better, etc.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So what, in terms of accountability and getting people to actually work through the program, there's kind of 2 elements. One is that we pair people with accountability buddies so that, as I talked about, like my friend comes over and does the ritual with me, everyone has a buddy. And so they can check in when they've, as they're going through the program to keep each other on track. That really helps.
Yeah.
And then the office coaching hours are, as you wish, drop in and use them. If you're someone who wants additional support, we do have a private coaching option, which you'll see on the MDY programs. Shoot, hold on. This link is not going to work with the Revel code. Use this link. Sorry, people.
Try.dowjanes.com/MDY.
Yes.
And then the code is Revel, REVEL, for 50% off. And the coupon expires on Sunday. And this recording will go out as our podcast on Friday. It will also be available on our website, on our blog, which is called The Reveler, at the top of our website. So we're www.hellorevel.com. If you go to The Reveler, you'll see the recording that should be up by tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The other piece for accountability is if you join private coaching, you get a one-on-one coach who texts you every week. So that's like full on accountability. Are you doing the program? What do you need help with? And then quarterly coaching calls to talk through your unique situation.
Right.
So that is on the page as well for private coaching. But the Revel discount works on the group coaching option.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then for the ritual, I think someone missed the link.
Someone's asking if you posted the weekly sheet. And then this other question is about working in nonprofit and just really not making enough money. Let's see, the longer question is, I work in the public health system in Canada, no increase in wages, all unionized, no chance to increase wage. So how do I bring my salary up to living wage in high cost of living Metro Vancouver? These are hard questions these days with inflation in particular.
With inflation, with a looming recession. Yeah. So how can your question is like how to increase your income, bring my salary up to living wage. Yeah. So it's either through your existing work and it's negotiating for a raise, and we have guidance and a whole process for asking for a negotiation, but it's basically the shortest answer is think of this as a longer term process. Like you're not going to get the raise that day. You're going to demonstrate your value, ask for what you want over a longer period of time, and put in place, if I do this, will I get this raise, and kind of set an agreement with your employer. That's kind of best practice for negotiating for a raise. In the meantime, you could increase your income through side hustles. So as a bonus for everyone who joins the $1 Million Year, we give them a program called the $1,000 Month. And it's basically this exercise you go through of inventorying your skills and assets and what do you have to work with, and then has lists of 50 to 100 different ideas and ways that you can increase your income each month. And some of them are pretty like low skill, do from home. Some of them are more complicated, but there's lots of different ideas in there for increasing your income, because the more you can get that in your own control, to just kind of help buffer the expenses and rising costs of things, really helps.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much, Britt. I hope we got to most of the questions. Someone asks, do you have Canadian coaches?
Lorianne is Canadian. Yes. And we do address, our program is universal. So, financial literacy applies to no matter what country you live in. And we have specific guidance for, like when we recommend accounts and bank accounts and investment accounts, we talk about the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK. So if you're in any of those countries, we have recommendations.
Great. Thank you so much to everyone who participated, especially to Britt for presenting. This was wonderful. This will be available, as I said, on our podcast, Raging Gracefully, and on the Revel website, the blog, The Reveler. And we'll talk to you soon, Britt. Thank you.
And thanks so much for having me.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.